Good evening, train friends. This is Chuck, back for another update on the Hamlet and Jefferson, North Carolina Railroad. If you remember last time, that board that you see in front of you was solid and square, but now it's cut out to resemble Mount Jefferson. And what will happen is I kind of go toward it is I'll use the 1-inch cardboard stripping to form my mountain there, which will cover most of that table. You'll notice also the foam table bed is down, or the foam bedding that I will use to make any scenery that is beneath the surface. Under the sheet is my trains and rolling stock to keep them out of so much dust. Had a lot of dust here with this foam, but if you're looking at it, you're probably saying, well, I don't really recognize that type of foam. Well, these foam panels are 3 inches thick, and I paid absolutely nothing for them. I went to a construction site where they were doing a roof, a no-tar roof on a flat top building, and asked the foreman if I could have the parts of the foam board that they weren't going to use. So I went dumpster diving and got enough to cover all of my layout, as you see. This way I can build scenery which is subsurface, or I can dig into the foam surface to build a river, a lake, stream, anything that I really like, or a road bed, or really anything. And the foam didn't cost me anything. That's the best part, because a 1/2 inch in my area, which is as thick as I can buy because it doesn't get very hot, very cold down here in the winters, is about $12 for a 4x8 sheet, and it would take a great deal to cover this layout. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a short update of what we're doing. The foam has been glued down using liquid nails for projects. I'm going to go in now and use a compound, joint compound that you see here, and I'm going to compound the joints between the foam panels, lay some joint tape down, and finish up the foam that way. I'm also going to paint it because this gray backing that you see is laced with fiberglass, and that stuff will eat you up if you let it get to your skin a lot. So I'm going to paint over it and paint over the foam edges so they'll be a little less noticeable, and I'll make another video as we do that and keep you updated. And what I'll do is string these together, so you'll see this one, and then I'll go right into that next video where I've got the paint and everything and the joints done, and we'll start laying track. Hope you have a great evening. Again, this is Chuck, 205 Stacy. Thanks for watching. Good evening, everyone. This is Chuck again. Just wanted to show you another quick segment of video of the next phase of the Hamlet and Jefferson, North Carolina Railroad. The joints that you saw on the last video in the foam, the pieces of foam, I have put joint compound on, joint tape, joined those foam pieces, tried to make them as level as I could to make the track as level as I could without a lot of bumping and rolling, but of course that is typical of a railroad, is it's not always perfectly flat. So those joints have been joined with joint compound, joint tape, and in the next phase that I'll do to what you're seeing now, I will come in with a fine grit sandpaper sand that smooth, and then move on to the other joints and finish up the layout. Then we'll paint the surface. Thanks for watching. Well guys, as promised, this is kind of the third segment of update number 3. As you can see, the foam bed is down, and also there are 2 complete loops of track. Outer loop and an inner loop. One piece of foam bed is not yet completed, and that's the one here at the lift out section. After going to a train show in Spencer, Rail Days 2011, I'm thinking about putting a hinge on the lift out section and making the hinge drop down so I can get in and out easily that way. And let me just explain a little bit to you what I have. I have 2 loops of track, the outer loop and the inner loop. It's fast track, Lionel fast track. The outer loop has an 072 curve and the inner loop has an 060 curve. I have so far I have a couple of switches that allows access from trains to the from the outer loop to the inner loop and then back and forth using an 072 two 072 right hand switches. And then on the opposite side I'll be installing 2 072 left hand switches to give me access from either side of the layout from loop to loop. Not real sure exactly what each section is going to be. As you can probably figure out, the section in the back is going to be modeled after Jefferson. The name of the railroad is the Hamlet and Jefferson, North Carolina Railroad, and Hamlet after my hometown of Hamlet, which back in the 1950s, which is the time period that I'll be modeling, Seaboard Airline was the railroad that operated through Hamlet with a lot of freight, passenger service from New York down to Florida. The infamous Orange Blossom Special ran through here, so I'll be using a lot of Seaboard. And then in Jefferson, Norfolk and Western run in Jefferson, so I'll be using some Norfolk and Western engines and things such as that also on the railroad. The foam bed is down, as you can see. I've painted it a light khaki color, and then I'll be able to bring in ground cover and cover that, and then underneath it'll give the appearance of dirt or earth underneath that. Long way to go still, but I do have 2 loops of track. They are operational, and the next segment you'll see will be a little train running. Okay everyone, the first train we're going to run, and the one that will operate on the outer loop, will be a Seaboard painted in the jolly green color scheme, and that's a GP40. Now I know if you're very prototypical, you're going to say, well, if you're modeling the 50s, the GP40 came out in the 60s, but keep in mind these are our railroads and we can basically do with them what we wish because it's our world. It's a beautiful engine and I enjoy it. It's got some great sounds, and we're going to start it up and start it on its way. Now the next engine we're going to fire up is the pride of my stable, and that's the Norfolk & Western J-Class number 611. It's an MTH Rail King Imperial Edition, and it's a great engine. It was the first engine that I ever bought for my railroad. It was the engine that I ran in the middle of the floor because I had nowhere else to run a train. But now we have somewhere to run it, so we're going to start it up and do a little train running with it. Well, train friends, I hope you've enjoyed this video, this collection of videos, because it chronicles the finishing up phases of construction, and a little train running on the Hamlet and Jefferson, North Carolina Railway. Hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed making it. And until next time, everyone enjoy running those trains and keep the tops of those tracks shining. Have a good evening. Good night.